Hi, we are going to talk about software. Computer have four components. That's input, output, processing, that's a CPU, and storage, that's memory. Input, output, CPU, and memory. Or you can view it from a different way, said that computer have software, hardware, and firmware. Firmware is a kind of software. You burn it into a hardware for speed, fast processing purpose. Software, hardware, and firmware. People roughly divided the computer into software and hardware. Hardware is something you can touch it. Software is something you can use it, but you cannot touch it. For example, your mouse, that's a piece of hardware. See here, this is the mouse here. Yep, you can use it here. And PowerPoint software, that's a kind of software you can use to make a PowerPoint slides. Something you can touch it, something you can use it. That's the difference between software and hardware. We need both of that. With only software, it will not work. With only hardware, it will not work neither. For example, analogy can be you and your mind. You need to think in order to do your homework. If physically you are there, but logically, mentally, you are somewhere else, you cannot do nothing, right? You come to the class, you fell asleep right away. Say physically you are there, you have attendance, but are you going to do your assignment? No, you cannot. You fall asleep. So you only have hardware, but there's no software. So that's like software and hardware. Software can be further divided into application software and system software. The way we learn is divide and conquer. We always divide something into two, then further divide into another two, another two, another two, or another three, another four, another five, in order to learn. Without dividing, probably we cannot learn anything. I give you an example. When there's a kid go to the kindergarten, you ask the kid, how's school? Then the kid may say, school is no fun, home is better. Now it's dividing school and home. Say, how's the school? The kids may say, we have a teacher and I got some friends. The teacher and the students, that's dividing. And you can further ask the kids, you have a male or female teacher, or a kid is real young, said that your teacher is a boy or girl, we are further dividing. Yeah. And you ask the kids, are you playing between your learnings? Then the kids will say, yeah, we got some breaks. Yeah, so something like that. School time is long, break time is short, we are further dividing. That's the nature of us. We divide and conquer. Conquer what? To learn. Take a look for system software. What is the difference between system software and application software? Let's divide. System software is you buy a computer system. It must have it. That's called system software. Application software is your computer system. If you need it, which is applied to you, then you pay money to get it. That's called application software. So example for system software, operating system. You get yourself a computer, you have to have an operating system. There's no operating system, just like you have a new car, there's no engine, it's not going to run. You have to have an engine. Do you need to have a CD player, radio, a loyal wheel? No, you don't. You don't. That's application system. If that is applied to you, yeah, I like to listen to the music, so the radio is fine. Or, well, I have lots of CD. I need a CD player in my car. That's application system. Come back to the computer. You buy yourself a new computer. It comes with a operating system. You buy an Apple computer, they have a Mac OS already installed. You cannot ask the Apple shop, say that I want to have a Apple computer, but I don't want you to put that Mac OS inside. No, that's a system software. Even you request, they're not going to do that. It's just like you go outside, you buy a new car, you talk to the car dealer, says, hey, I'm going to buy a new car from you. But guess what? Remove the engine. I don't need the engine. They're not going to sell that car to you because you cannot drive. How can that car be sold to you? You pay the money, sign the paperwork, the car's still in the garage. You cannot drive. There's no use. So that's called system software. Application software, you can, if you want it, you get it. You buy yourself a computer. If it comes with Windows 10, then you're trying to do your PowerPoint homework. It doesn't work. It doesn't come with Office. You can download free Office 365 or pay and get it. Get it means download it to your PC, Office 2019. And Office 365 is free. Whenever your computer is connecting to internet, you can use it. Office 2019, which is not free, but once you pay and download into your PC, you don't have to connect into the internet. And it's much faster comparing to Office 365. Anything connecting to internet are subject to the limits of the speed. It can be slow. People are sharing, the server is speedy. What is application software? What is system software? I think we have some idea. Let me give you another analogy. So what is the system software? What is an application software? In terms of the degree you are studying, there are some mandatory classes you have to take, and there are some elective courses you can take from. So one is mandatory, one is elective. Mandatory is the system software, you got to have it. And elective is the application software. If that is applied to you, you go ahead and take that. In here, they said that application software is any type of software that is made for you, the user. It's not the best description. Made for you. Application software is something applied to you. You say, hey, I want it, then get it. System software refers to any software that is created for the operation, maintenance, and security of a computer. It's not the best description you can get, because if you say that system software, security of a computer, you can get security software, but that does not have to come with the computer. You buy yourself a new computer, there's no Office. Office can be PowerPoint software. There's nothing there. There's no Word. You say, no Word, can I still type something? They have a notepad, that's free. Application software, you have McAfee, Norton. That's not system software. That's application software. If that is applied to you, you buy yourself a computer, hey, you don't want to connect into internet, then you don't need antivirus software. Once you connect into internet, anything can happen. You have to have a antivirus software. When I say you have to have, that means if you don't have, it's not going to work. I mean, if you don't have an antivirus software like McAfee, like Norton, and something else, sooner or later, you have a big chance to get virus. So virus most likely will wipe off your C drive, make your computer a new computer. Say, whoa, can you make my computer a new computer? If you are talking about wipe off all of your memory space of your C drive, you may not want that. Then you lose everything from your computer, your game, your schoolwork, and everything, just like a new one. Or new is not the best term, maybe empty one. Should we empty your computer? No. If you have a house, you have all the valuable collection there, and there's a thief which is so bored, remove everything, turn out to be a new house. It's not really new, empty house. Would you be happy about that? Absolutely no. That's a virus here. Thinking a virus like a thief. When you didn't pay enough attention, the thief going to remove everything out of your house. Then you have yourself an empty house. That's terrible. So what can we do about this possibly happened event? For your house, not much. Get an insurance insured. And for your computer, make a backup. The best backup probably is external hard drive. This is the external hard drive I'm holding up. You use the external hard drive, then that's the kind of a little big, look like a mobile phone, size like a mobile phone. And you can put everything. They can accommodate lots of info. You put everything in this external hard drive, not your thumb drive, but external hard drive from time to time. From time to time depends on you, every week, every month at least. Then if you lose your computer, not because of the virus, because of the software, hardware problem, it's the file just gone, or you cannot access to. You still have your backup to put it there. The lose you're going to have is between the last time you back up. Then that stuff will not be there. Application software, system software, I think we understand. And the purpose for separating these two software is to help us to learn. That's it. That's the purpose. You go watch a football game. You're going to see that's the coach and that's the player. Why we want to give them a tag, say that's a coach, that's a player. They serve different purpose. You're watching the football game. You know who is the coach, probably most likely dressed in suits. Who is the player, dressed and playing a team clothes. Then you know. It helps you to understand. It's more fun. It's easier that way. Should we let the referee and the coach and the team player and even the audience all dress up in the same color, same style of clothes? Would that work? That will work. We're still going to have a football game, but it's not that much of fun. It's not that much of fun here. Who's who? So we want to do that. It's easier for us to learn or to enjoy, or simply put, we get use of that. That's the way we have currently. We like to separate. We like to make it easier for us. Operating system. The purpose of an operating system to manage flow of data between components, allow user communication. That's very, very good description here. Operating system is like a car. You got an engine. So engine, or like a human being, you have a heart. That's like hardware perspective. Software perspective is like you have a brain, so you can think. You need both, right? You need hardware, that's your heart, the most important. And you need a brain, that's software, you can think. That's operating system. In this case, if you want to say that human being, we have two operating systems, that's fine. That's still called heart. That's still called brain. You want to name it or view it differently for your learning, easier. that's fine. That you're not changing anything. You just give a different view, perspective, different way of presenting the idea. Operating system have a boot process. Boot process is kind of fun here. Is if you have a operating system got some problem. Sometimes, for instance, your computer screen is freeze up. Then you ask, professor, well, what can I do? The classroom computer is freezing up to me. I can do nothing. What I'm going to ask you, I'm going to ask you to Control, Alt, Delete. Left-hand side, Control, Alt, right-hand, Delete. So Control, Alt, Delete. That's a restart. We're going to reboot your computer. The boot in turn maybe came from Texas. Cowboys are wearing boots. When sometimes you have a little bit tiny stone somehow jumping into your boots here, you're going to shake it here. You shake it real hard. Hopefully the stuff will be come out. If not, you're going to take off your boots and shake it real hard and reboot it here. So reboot, boot. Boot, you're wearing your shoes, there's something in your shoes, you're walking outside, then you take off your shoes and shake it here, got that stuff out of your shoes, then you wearing your shoes. That's called boot, reboot. At first, you boot. So you woke up in the morning, you're wearing your boots. Later on, you feel something in your boots. Then you take it out and shake it. Then you reboot. Wearing your boots here. That's called a boot process. It's computer in a certain state, original state, everything's fine. Then you're doing something to your computer and download something to your computer. Somehow your computer cannot handle anymore. You need to reboot. It's like we are working on some math problem. We don't know how to do it. At first, we're fine. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 5. Then we got some problem. Whoa, let's take a break. We'll come back and redo it from step 1, 2, and 3. See if we can fix it. Go back to your original state. That's called the reboot. So at first, it's called start up a computer. You get a computer started, start up a computer or boot. Got some problem, you need to reboot. If the problem fixed, like the screen is not freezing up on you anymore, well, fine, we just reboot, restart the computer. We start the computer, we restart the computer. If the problem is still there, guess what? We're going to power off the computer. Then we power on the computer. In this case, we can have two terms. One we call warm boot, warm. One we call cold boot. We're going to warm boot, restart the computer. Control, Alt, Delete. Then you go to restart. Going to stop all the process. Not working, you go to restart. You go to the menu button. You restart the computer. If still not working, you go to the menu button. You are going to shut down the computer. If still not working, you just press that on and off hardware key. Use your finger, press on that for 1 or 2 seconds, then it's gone. When I say it's gone, means you just shut down or turn off your computer. So let's turn it off, see what happened. Let me summarize what I have just tell you. If your computer got some problem, number 1, restart the computer. If fixed, that's fine. If not, turn off the computer, then return on the computer. Mainly for operating system. Operating system is doing everything. Without operating system, nothing will happen. Operating system, we have different operating system. Most people's computer using Microsoft. Right now it's Windows 10, version 10. That's Windows operating system. If you have an Apple computer, you are using Mac OS operating system. Long time ago, Apple company have a computer called Macintosh. No more, but the name is still used for its operating system. That's why we call it Mac operating system. In case you're curious about what Mac stands for, that's short for Macintosh, a old, no more existing Apple computer. Other than Apple computer have Mac OS and my computer have Windows, are there any other operating system? Yes. There is a free, secure operating system called Linux. You may download it on the internet. A free download for any Linux. That will work. You have Windows, you have Mac OS, you have Linux. Linux is more secure because once you download it, that's yours. You can change it. Mac OS, that's Apple, proprietary. You cannot change it. And Windows, that's Microsoft. That's proprietary. You cannot change it. Proprietary means belongs to the company. In addition to you cannot change it, or not only you cannot change it, the company, Apple and Microsoft, they're going to keep updating your operating system, keep changing your operating system. How can they do that? As long as you connect to internet, they have a newer version, some patches, they're going to download it to your computer. If they mess up, if Apple or Microsoft mess up, then you got messed up. Your computer got messed up. Linux is totally different. Once you download it, that's your Linux. You want to change something, that's you. There's no Linux company. That's you. You better know what you're doing. If you're real good with computers, then use your Linux. If you're not that good, then I don't suggest you to use Linux. Companies like the government or like the military, they should use, and most of them are use Linux. They download Linux, they keep changing. So the Linux is an open system. Open system means you can see the coding, C language coding of your operating system, you can change it. You have your own operating system. If you say that I have a Linux, now it's messed up, then you try to point fingers to certain company. No, you need to point finger back to yourself. That's me. Somehow I mess up. Nobody can mess up your own stuff. So that's an open system. 3 computer operating systems: Windows, Mac OS, Linux. Capability. Talking about compatible or not compatible, they mentioned a Mac, a Windows. They didn't mention about Linux here, but we do have Linux. GUI. GUI is a clicking. You use your mouse, you right mouse click, you left mouse click, then they give you option. You do your selection still by clicking. That's called GUI. You have a file in your computer. They have a picture, looks like a file, folder. You double click on the folder, it's open up. They have some files there. You double click on a file. If that is a Word file, then the Word file open it up. That's your resume. Okay, you see your resume. That's called GUI, graphic user interface. In addition to GUI, you also have a command line interface. What is the command line interface? Command line interface, in this case, you CD to a folder 1. CD means you change directory. You go to that folder. Then you say cat, C-A-T, folder 1. Concatenate is to open it up for me. Then you open it up, you see some file. The file 1 is what you want to see. That's your resume. You CAT space file 1. Open up my file 1 so I can see my resume. File 1 is my resume. command line interface, you keep typing CD space, or CAT space, and other command. You're doing all the typing. And GUI, you're doing all the clicking. You point your mouse to cursor to somewhere that you keep clicking and typing. Which way is faster? You may say that clicking is faster, GUI is faster. That's true. Which way is better? Better is a term. Well, if you want to change a lot of stuff routinely, like every week you have to change, or last time I changed a lot of stuff, this time I want to change a lot of stuff again. If you using the clicking, say 1,000 clicking, so you keep clicking, it takes more time. If you have a command line interface that's 50 lines of CD something, CAT something, command line, typing, and you input this command line, that's it. You copy and paste those 50 lines, that's it. Or you're going to have 1,000 clicking, which is better. Now you can see there's a pros and cons. Both are coexisting. Even your computer, PC, with Windows, there still is a C prompt to allow you to use DOS, disk operating system. Since day one, Windows operating system have a DOS and only DOS. That's a command line interface, DOS, DOS operating system. They don't have a GUI. Later on, they have a GUI. Most of us are only use GUI. We don't use the DOS, but DOS command, you go to your menu button, find your DOS command. It's still there. And some people still use the DOS command. DOS command will allow you to do more with your operating system. If you're real good with computers, then you use the DOS, you can change something. If you're not that good, but you are using the DOS with your computer operating system, you're doing something, the chances are you may mess up your computer. Then your computer is not working anymore. So that's your command line interface. We said that at first we have a command line interface, like a DOS operating system. Later on, we have Windows 10, mostly that's GUI operating system. Are we saying that GUI have replaced command line interface? No, still there, both are there. For the Linux system, you can use command line interface, or like a Red Hat, that's a company, Red, that's the color, hat, that's HAT, something you're wearing on top of your head. Red Hat is an American company. They charge you like $50 per year. Then they give your Linux a GUI version. In addition to clicking, you can also, or in addition to typing, you can also clicking. Some people like that. A Cisco router, another example. You want to configure your Cisco router or your Cisco switch, then you can use the command line interface that Cisco have provided to you. Or they also have a GUI clicking function you can use. Most Cisco engineers, including me, we are using command line interface, typing all the command. We're not using the GUI to clicking. As I mentioned to you, those commands I use, I can put in the file. I only need one line of a command. I can copy that one line of a command, put it there, copy and paste, and enter. They can do a lot of stuff. Instead of I keep clicking. No, command line interface is a more efficient way in terms of configuring Cisco routers, in terms of using Linux operating system. So command line interface. For people using computer for general purpose, you're going to go to do a simple stuff, then GUI is better. So both are serve different purpose. Both are coexist. Don't. It's never like GUI is here to replace command line interface. It's pretty much the same situation. You have Wi-Fi, but you still have your computer connected to outside from your wall outlet, then to outside. Like you may use some different technology, but like for mine, I use Fios. There's a fiber connecting to Fios here, and you can connect to DSL, digital subscriber line. You can connect to cable modem. They are all wired. Once you connect to that, your house, you have Wi-Fi, and within your house, you can move your computer, notebook, anywhere within the house because covering up by Wi-Fi, it's wireless. But once connecting from your house to the service provider, the phone company, you have a hard wire. Both wired and wireless, both are coexist to serve different purpose. It's never like the wireless stuff going to replace wired. Are there any case the wireless stuff replaced wired? Yes, there are. Yes, there are. Also have that kind of case. Let me tell you, long time ago when we have a TV, you want to change channel. You go there, there's a knob here, you're clicking, you're turning the knob to change channel 1, channel 2. Today, use your remote control, right? You're going to watch your TV, say, hey, where's my remote control? Now I cannot change my channel. Your TV, you go to your TV, they don't have a knob anymore. You have to use your remote control to change your channel. There's no remote control. Your TV is useless. You cannot turn it on, you cannot turn it off, you cannot change the channel. The wireless device for your remote control, right? There's no wired. Long time ago, it's wired. Or in this case, you use your hand directly touch the TV, turn on the knob, we call it wired. It's not wireless remotely. That's the case. The wireless have replaced the wired. Today, you get yourself a TV, you have to have a remote control. There's no remote control, there's no change of nothing. Multitasking to tell you your computer can do 2 things or more than 2 things at the same time. Like I'm lecturing here. I'm going to drink. I'm drinking and lecturing at the same time. But you say, hey, no, professor, you're not. When you're drinking, you're not talking. Okay, good point. Multitasking is like that. You are listening to the music playing from your computer, and you are doing some surfing, Googling, all at the same time, 2 things. That 2 things from a computer OS perspective, they use very, very tiny, short time frame to support task 1. Another very short period of time to support task 2. You're only doing 2 things, multitasking, 2 things, 2 tasks. Then task 1 time, task 2 time, task 1 time, task 2 time. They're doing so fast. To you, they are simultaneously. Your music, you listen to the music, your music will not be freezing up here. And you are serving, the serving just keep coming. They can do that, right? So multitasking, we also multitasking. They're talking about Microsoft DOS 1980. Since we have a computer, we have a DOS system, disk operating system. That's a command line interface system. See here, we have so many terms. We have to have terms. IT is term-based. I can say that in any area, all the areas I know, the more terms you have to use, the more complex the system is. Like language. Long time ago, the language some human being created is simple. I want to eat, I want to sleep, I want to fight. Today, it's much more complex. complicated. 32 versus 64. This is a bit operating system. This is to tell you your OS can at one time process or get and process 32 bits or 64 bits. Which one is faster? 64 bits is faster. Well, I'm going to ask you to move the books I have from point A to point B. I have so many books. I'm a professor. Hey, you say, hey, every time I can carry 5 books from point A to point B. Another guy come, every time I can carry 15 books from point A to point B. Which one is faster? I think I'm going to hire this guy who can move not 5 books, but 15 books at one time. That's going to save us a lot of time. So that's the new computer, old computer. That's the improvement we have seen for the computer. So let's call 32-bit versus 64-bit. Device driver. Device driver is a software. We are talking software right now. So device driver is a software. You have a computer, you buy yourself a new printer. You want it to get print. Say, don't talk about wireless, talk about wire at home. Then you have a wire hardware connecting to that printer from your computer. Hardware is there, how about software? You try to print out something, it's not working. They don't talk. Your computer and your new printer, they don't talk. They don't have the software. You go to the internet. If you buy a company ABC model EFG printer, you go to internet and search company ABC, find their EFG model of printer, and download that software, free download, to your computer. Now your computer knows the language which can be used to talk to your printer. It's work. That's called your device driver. Device is hardware. Driver is a software. It's a software, device driver. Server operating system. Server and your PC, there are 2 different types of computer. One have your resume, have your game, and one have the info. So what is a server? Now let's think, eBay is a big company, e-commerce company. People buy something from eBay. They have many, many computers. This type of computer we call servers. And their computers or servers look like a deck, like your VCR or your DVD or your Blu-ray player. That's their server. They're not going to have your resume. They're not going to have games. No, what they have a customer info and the inventory of their items they want to sell. So that's a server. That server is a type of computer, also need to have an operating system. So Microsoft, for example, Windows 10. They have a Windows 10 for PC. They have Windows 10 for server. So you load the server version to the server, PC version to the PC. People typically know you're going to use for your PC, so they're not going to ask you. You want to download a Windows 10, and that's an update of your Windows 10, or your computer comes with a Windows 10. That's a PC version for Windows 10. And a server, that's server version for Windows 10. Linux is different. Linux, you can have both. You can have one system for the server and for the PC. They are the same Linux. What's the difference between Unix and Linux? Unix is a company for like different, Unix is a operating system. You need to pay to get it. like a Sun, S-U-N, Sun Microsystem. They have their version of Unix, which I have used before. And Linux, you go to internet, there are thousands, 1,000, more than 1,000 different versions. One example is like UC Berkeley. That's a school. They have their version of Linux. You can free download. Unix is something you need to pay for. And Linux is something free. What kind of computer using Unix and what kind of computer using Linux? Computer using Linux is like big database. You are using Linux, you are using Unix like every day. You swipe your computer or your credit card. Your credit card info will go to a database. Say this is the MasterCard. So the MasterCard that info will be sent to a MasterCard database that's with a operating system we call Unix to charge you money, right? You spend $50 and the Unix operating system going to go to your account to deduct $50. Hey, you have spent $50. That's Unix. And you use Unix like every day. You're going to use your mobile phone to call someone. You call from Dallas to someone in New York. That phone call will be routed via cellular phone system. We call telephony system, phone company's computer. That computer are using Unix as operating system, not Apple's Mac OS, not Microsoft's Windows. No, they are using Unix. With that operating system, reroute your call to New York. You make a phone call, you are triggering or you are using Unix. You swipe your credit card, you are triggering or you are using Unix. You cannot get rid of Unix, huh? You are using it, you just don't know. And they tell you Unix are from different company. Example here they give you is Oracle's, Solaris. Oracle is a company. Solaris is like the model of Unix. That's the most popularly used Unix system. You have a Unix operating system. You pay money to Oracle. When I say you, in this case, you are the owner of the database for credit card. You are the owner for the computers for setting up a phone call. That's your Unix. In Linux is open source. You can see the coding and you can change the coding. That's Linux. What's the difference between Unix and Linux? Are limited. The coding or the command, you may say that's like 95%, they are identical. In this case, school will use Linux to learn Unix. I teach Linux many years. And the course title may be Unix operating system, but I'm going to use Linux to teach you because 95% of the command are the same. Why I have to use Unix to teach you Unix? I can just use Linux to teach you use Unix. And Linux is for your PC, and Unix is for a credit card database, for example, is for a phone switch system, for example, that's expensive, like $1 million machine, and your computer is like $200 or $1,000. Using $1,000, comparing $1,000 and $1 million, that's a big difference. I don't have that $1 million system with Unix to help you learn Unix, but I surely can have like $1,000 a piece computer in the classroom for you to learn Linux. So you are using Linux to learn Unix. If people ask you, do you know Unix? And you are a Linux student, you can say, yes, I know Linux. Hey, I ask you, do you know Unix? And your answer is, I know Linux. That's a very good question and very good answer. I'm a student, I learn Linux, then I work for a company, they are using Unix. They are very much similar. So that's the difference between Unix and Linux. Can I make it a little bit clearer or a bit easier for you? Yeah, Linux is for PC operating system. Unix is for big computer machine operating system. Your PC is not big. There is a penguin that's a symbol of Linux or even Unix. Whenever you see the penguin, you say, hey, you want to talk about Linux or Unix. Who, at first place, created this penguin? I don't know, I have no idea. That's just like there forever. Some people use this one. Talk about open source. You can see the coding of your operating system written in C language. And you can change it. You can even put it back, upload to internet, and say, hey, and name your name. If your name is John Doe, say John Doe's version of Linux. People can use it at their own risks. So that's Linux. Linux belongs to no one. 1991, created by a Finnish guy, a guy from Finland called Linus, Linus. Now you can see why we name it Linux, because his name is Linus. That's his first name, 1991. So basically, they have a partially finished operating system, Linux, and post it on the internet, say, hey, whoever want to help me to finish this operating system, then belong to everyone and not owned by anyone. That's operating system. So people help Linux and they finish this Linux operating system. There are companies like Red Hat, I just mentioned. That company, they have customer service, make Linux from not only command line interface, you're doing typing, but also GUI version, you're doing clicking, and they charge you money. And they, whenever they want to make some update, that's their job. They charge you and they make it. So if you are a company, you pay the money, they're going to ask you, what kind of a Linux, which version of Linux you're using? You say, hey, I use Red Hat Linux. That's fine, it's perfect. Or I use a UC Berkeley Linux, or I use a Linux I found from internet, that's UC Berkeley Linux, and I change it to my own John Doe version. That's also fine. That's your Linux. Windows servers. Yeah, Windows can have PC version and server version. Desktop operating system. Desktop, notebook, same idea here. You can have Microsoft Windows. Microsoft is a company. The company have trademark the Windows. So sometimes you see a TM, sometimes you see an R, registered mark, trademark. So that's a trademark, Windows. That Windows is a general term we use. Before Microsoft Windows, you ask me, Professor, how many Windows you have in your office? I say, my office have 2 Windows. But today, Since Microsoft have trademarked Windows and Office for different meaning, if you ask a professor, that's me, hey professor, I have a question about your Office and your Windows. Are you asked about my Office with 2 Windows? Are you asked about my Office that's Office 2019 or Office 365 with Word, PowerPoint, and something else, and the Windows, that's Windows 10 version? What are you talking about? Turn out to be this way. People are talking about computer, then Windows is not, that's glass Windows. The Office is not the place of your office, physical place. There are different meaning. Anyway, so that's your Windows and Office. Microsoft Windows, that's for PC. Microsoft, long time ago, they have a DOS, DOS, Disk Operating System. Today, your computer still have a DOS and a Windows. The version is Windows 10. Later on, Microsoft most likely will change to Windows 11 and ask company to upgrade to Windows 11 and charge money for their new Windows 11. You pay money to get Windows 10. Later on, they're going to have Windows 11. Later on, they're going to have Windows 12. So you keep paying money every 2 or 3 or 5 years to Microsoft. That's one way they make money. Do they have to upgrade? I don't know. Are they going to charge you money? Yes. How can they do that? Most of the computers nowadays, if we say like 85% of the computers, they are using Windows, then they can do that. You say, hey, I don't want to update from Windows 10 to Windows 11. Then Microsoft is not backward compatible. I'm not going to keep supporting Windows 10 since we have Windows 11 and you don't want to pay money for that. You are on your own. You have your Windows 10. And later on, it's not working. Your customer is using Windows 11 and you have to do business, you have to use. School, I'm not teaching you the best operating system. Linux, Mac OS, Windows, which one's best? That's not the question. The question here is, which is most widely used? The school will teach you the most widely used operating system, and that's Windows. You go to school, they teach you operating system. You say, oh, great. They're going to teach me Mac OS, Windows, and Linux. No, they are not. They're going to teach you Windows. They can also teach you Linux. There is a class called Linux that teach you Linux. Do they have a class called Mac OS? No, they don't. Mac OS, Macintosh OS, that's your Apple computer. Mac refer to Macintosh, a computer. That's 1984. I don't know where were you, 1984. At that time, I was young. I used a Macintosh computer. That's a PC. That's a good PC, fancy PC. Hey, people like it. See, Apple's Mac OS. Okay. And IBM PC. Yeah, IBM PC. That's not Apple. So inside, they have Microsoft, a company's Windows software. At first, we call DOS. They tell you now they have something called Mac OS, Macintosh OS. That's Apple. Apple today have i something, right? iPhone, iPad, i this, i that. They show you iPhone, iPad. We all know Mac OS. Stability, stable. Which one is more stable? If we're comparing to a computer, Apple computer with Mac OS, or a Dell computer with Windows 10, which one is better? I don't know. You ask the Apple user. The Apple user may say that, hey, my Apple is better. Well, you get use of Apple. You don't know much about Windows. You don't use it. If we ask a Windows user, which one is better? You also say, don't ask me, I don't know. I never use a Mac OS. I don't use an Apple computer. So we're not sure. Yeah, which one is more stable? I don't know. Which one have fewer virus? Not sure. Maybe Mac OS have more hackers attack. Linux, long time ago, have few hackers attack. Right now have more hackers attack. There's more hackers attack. You may have more chances to get virus. Included software. Mac OS, they don't like Windows. You need to buy a separate Office software that comes with software. Like iPhoto, iMovie. Oh, I think that's a good naming system here. Then you know that's Apple's software. Unified ecosystem here is the fancy term. It tells you use a Apple computer, you have a iPhone, they can talk to each other easily. If you use a iPhone, but a Windows OS computer, they may not talk that easily. That's how Apple company encourage you to use everything Apple. Support, yes. Will the Apple company give you a better support, or will Microsoft give you a better support? It runs Windows, yes. Right now, you have Apple computer. They said that, hey, we can also run your Windows Word and something. It may have a learning curve for you to handle that. It may not be 100% when they say they can run it. If you have a Mac OS, you use its software to make some slides. And another one or your teacher have a Windows using PowerPoint software to open up the slide. Then you are a student with Apple computer, you send the slide to your professor to get it graded. Your professor use Windows to open it up and see the slide, got some problem, deduct some points. This may happen because the Windows is dominating the market. The professor said that in this class, we are using PowerPoint slides. That's Microsoft OS slide. You use the Apple, that's fine, but you need to make sure it's compatible. Not the professor need to make sure they're compatible. If not compatible, then the professor deduct points. That's thinking like that. If most of your clients are using Windows and you so decided you want to use Apples, that's very cool. But you need to make sure it's compatible. When your customers see your document with Windows, they're not going to have any problem. Should they have any problem, you, the Apple user, you need to fix it. Yep. Desktop Linux, as I mentioned to you, your PC, desktop, notebook, they are free Linux you can use. Chrome OS, a new player in the market. Google Chrome. Google have a new PC, a notebook. They talk about that. They say their operating system is Google Chrome. Yeah, you may give it a try. And Google have a new phone, Google Phone, new company, a new player. You may give it a try. That's something I would like to share. This is the end of this presentation.